Hey everybody, welcome to Little John's Yarns. I'm Alysha. If you notice something a little different here today, I have a special guest. I wanted to do this because we're fresh off the Crochet Business Summit and we had a whole bunch of information going on. I was one of the speakers at the summit too. But I wanted to bring in a professional, Melissa from Tailwind, to help us know the proper strategies to use on Pinterest and grow our business. So how are you doing today, Melissa?
I'm great. I have a little bit of allergies, so if I start coughing, I apologize. But, it's just that time of year. But other than that, I'm doing perfectly well. Happy to be here. Excited to chat with you all.
Oh, that's awesome. So we probably have a lot of new followers, like I said, that came from the Crochet Business Summit, which was awesome. So could you tell us, what are we going to be talking about here today?
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about Pinterest. A lot of things have changed in the past year. Algorithms different, there's new pin types, there's just a lot of stuff that's going on that if you've been on Pinterest for a long time, you may be going, oh my gosh, what's happening? How can I succeed? My old tactics aren't working. Or if you're new to Pinterest, you may be wondering, okay, how on earth do I even get started here? So we'll be talking about what's working on Pinterest based on a big data study that people that are much smarter than me in the company did, and I'm just here presenting their hard work.
So everybody, this is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a presentation. So please get your pens and paper ready because we're going to go over a good bit of stuff. And like I said, I'm super intrigued because I've been on Pinterest for years. And once upon a time, Pinterest was just, you can just repin the same pin over and over again. And it was magical. But not anymore. Then that changed. Then the SEO changed. Then the hashtag. So hopefully you'll be going over all this type of stuff here today.
Oh yeah, we'll hit on all of it.
All right, I'm ready for it.
All right, and once I'm presenting, I won't be able to see anyone's comments or your pretty face. So please interrupt me if there's any questions or comments or anything that you want to share.
Okay.
All right, I will go ahead and start presenting. And can you see my screen?
Here we go. Wait, I got the screen up now. It's up.
Awesome. All right. Yes. So what's working on Pinterest in 2020? We've been hearing a lot of different things from our members, from the community, from people on Pinterest going, what the heck is happening? So a few pieces of feedback that we've been hearing a lot are things are changing so quickly. It's hard to keep up. Where can I go to find all this information? It's hard to find and it's hard to keep up. Traffic's been dropping, organic reach has been dropping, impressions are low. And a lot of people are coming to Pinterest and going, wow, I was doing so well from 2013 to 2017. And then now Pinterest has hated me for the past 3 years. And that's not the case. Things are just a little different. So what's actually happening here? What are we seeing from Pinterest? What's Pinterest wanting from creators? What's actually going on here? What they're looking for is a way to connect pinners with those fresh ideas, those things that they're really, really interested in, and not just that same pin over and over and over and over again. So this is just a really quick little example from Pinterest on what that looks like from a creator standpoint. Oops. Didn't click in the right place. There we go. I made that. So Pinterest is really, really focusing on that pinner experience and what feels great to the people going to Pinterest to discover new ideas. They are, maybe coming to Pinterest to figure out what plants work in their climate, something to plant that's maybe less easy to kill than a succulent. I don't know if that exists. I've had issues with that. And just different ways for people to engage with creators on Pinterest. So it's a little bit of a different mindset rather than, publishing a blog post and just putting up that one pin and then sharing it again and again and again. You want to sort of tailor those ideas to the actual pinners on Pinterest. So thinking about the different audiences, thinking about different spins, and really showing up for those pinners where they're at. So let's take a look at the types of content that has been most engaging. And specifically, we're looking at those that get the most saves. During February to March of this year, we did a massive study, like I mentioned earlier. 20 million pins were analyzed, sent out via all kinds of different methods. So that's directly pinning on Pinterest, using Pinterest scheduling, using Tailwind, using other tools that you can schedule pins with. Doesn't matter. We wanted to see, no matter where those pins came from, what is actually performing and what can we learn and share with our audience. We also narrowed it down specifically to paid Tailwind users because that's a good indication that these people are invested in Pinterest. If they're willing to pay the $15 a month for Tailwind, then they're going to be a little bit more invested in the Pinterest ecosystem versus someone who just has a free trial and never really extended that effort on Pinterest. What we're looking to find out is, what kind of pins are Tailwind members posting? What are the best types for saves, previously known as repins, one of the many things that has changed in the past few years. Follower count. For a while, followers were less important and they weren't pushing it as much. And then now, what's going on with follower counts? And does it matter for the success of various pin types? And finally, what can marketers do to improve their performance on Pinterest based on this information that we gleaned? And just quick vocabulary here. When we talk about image creates, that is the very first time a pin is saved. So you make that beautiful image, it's a brand new blog post potentially, and you are sharing that for the first time on Pinterest. That is what we call an image create. The subsequent shares of that image is what we call image saves. So the second, third, fourth, however many times that pin is saved after that initial image create is what we call image saves. So just a quick vocabulary lesson that'll hopefully help clear up some of the new things that we are talking about here. When looking at the types of pins people are sharing, it's not going to be much of a surprise that the vast majority are static image pins. That's what we see on Pinterest. That's what we're used to. That's what's been going on for, since Pinterest started. That's what we're used to seeing. 4% are video pins. So a lot of them actually are from TikTok, if your feed is anything like mine. So there's video pins that you can click into and watch the full video. And finally, idea pins, which were previously known as story pins. Looking at the performance of static image pins, those pins that we all know and love, they still work. They're still doing well, but they're just not performing as well as video or story pins. Video pins are getting 8 times the number of saves, and then even crazier, idea pins are getting 41 times more saves. However, static pins are still performing. They're still important. They're still a big part of the mix of what you should be publishing on Pinterest. Video pins, like I mentioned, they're getting 8 times the number of saves compared to static image pins. And the beauty of a video pin is that they're engaging, they draw in the eye, they get people interested in what it is you have on your pin, and people can still click through and learn more about you on your website. So it's kind of the best of both worlds in a way. You have the ability to click through like you do with static pins, and then you have that great engagement like you do with idea pins. The idea of idea pins is to tell a full story on Pinterest. So it's giving a little bit away for free on Pinterest, but you have to think about Pinterest rather than the immediate traffic driver that it once was as more of a funnel system now. So you can use these idea pins to really branch out and attract new people, new audience members, folks that you want to be getting in front of. These idea pins are so important for that. They work really, really well in terms of saves because they are intended to connect the creator with the pinner by telling this full story so well that it's 41 times the number of saves compared to our normal static image pins that we all know and love. looking into the high performing pins insights, we were able to glean a number of things that you can do right now to really make a difference on your Pinterest account. So first we looked at the pins that had at least 5,000 saves or repins by the end of January and found that they had a few common traits. 89% of them had a combination of comments, photos, reactions. For a long time, we were told and were following the advice that Pinterest was not a social platform. It was a search and discovery platform. It was more similar to Google than it was to Facebook. Pinterest is now starting to marry those two pieces, the social side as well as the search and discovery side. And those comments, photos, reactions are becoming more important in getting noticed. So something that you can do here to sort of help boost those is adding a CTA to your caption when you're creating a pin. So, if you have a great crochet tutorial, you can say, hey, if you've made this piece, please share a photo in the comments, react to this, and really help build that engagement and get more distribution of those pins. 90% of those pins that got at least 5,000 saves were creates, those image creates, rather than the image saves. So it was the first instance of that image, of that pin on Pinterest, and those were the ones that did the best. I think this is probably the biggest shift in thinking for people that were previously using Pinterest as the let's reshare our evergreen content again and again and again because it works really well. Now Pinterest is actually promoting those image creates, the first image that's been published versus the ones that have already been on Pinterest before. And 30% were actually videos. A lot from TikTok. I think the repurposing of content is a big thing just across social media. And it shows how to do something. With video pins, you don't have to give it all away. So you can do 70% of a craft on the pin and then say, please click through to my website to see how to finish it off. So you can build that attraction, that engagement, get people really interested in what it is you're creating, and then have the CTA for them to go to your website, get that site traffic, potentially get that buy from Pinterest. And moving on to some recommendations. Obviously, idea pins, they work incredibly well. So make more idea pins. It's a little cumbersome right now, I will say. I've been making them for a side project that my husband and I are working on, and you have to do it all in Pinterest. They have an editor built in, they have to be a specific size, but it's so worth the effort.
I've never done an idea pin before. I've never even heard of an idea pin before.
They were previously known as story pins.
Okay.
Yeah, they're pretty new. They're probably littering your home feed right now. They're everywhere. I feel like half of the pins that I see on my Pinterest feed are idea pins, but that's because Pinterest is pushing them so much right now. It's a great way, honestly, for them to keep people on the platform. That looks good to investors. That helps with ad revenue if people are continuing to stay on the platform. So it makes a lot of business sense for them to create this. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, as a creator, great way to build up that brand awareness and get in front of new people. And they don't have to be super complicated. This example here is just walking through how to make a watermelon cucumber lemonade. That sounds so good right now.
It does.
May have to go find this pin after and try it out. But it's relatively easy. And if you're already creating this content for Instagram Reels, for TikTok, for wherever you're creating this content, might as well take advantage of the Pinterest idea pins and make those.
Somebody had a question for you.
Yeah, please.
It was Colby. Would it be better to take many photos, videos of one project and post them as a single, post them as image creates, as the image is created, like step by step?
Right. I would actually say that's a great place to do an idea pin. And I'd potentially make that into an idea pin because the way this works, all of these slides here are on one pin. And so if you're already taking those photos and making that content, then go ahead and make an idea pin, because that's going to help your distribution. If you want to make sure that it's leading back to your website, then that's a tough one.
Give half the steps.
Yeah. Maybe half the steps, and then point people to your website, or potentially use a simple like a Adobe Spark that you can upload videos in, or upload images and make videos. So you could have a video pin that you walk through the different steps, and then people still want to click through to your website. So my number one recommendation would be an idea pin. My second recommendation would be a video pin. And then if you were going to use a static image pin, if the individual images made sense on their own, then potentially you could do that. But if out of context with the other images, it doesn't make sense, and I would say maybe don't, and potentially just make a collage pin so you have the different steps all on one pin.
Okay, there we go. All right, you can continue.
All right. So these idea pins are great for accounts with more than 10,000 followers, but even on our teeny tiny account we just started with just 10 followers, they're working really well. They're our best performing pins that we're not putting ad dollars behind. One of the cool things that I'm really excited about as Tailwind's community and sponsorships manager is this ability that's coming to tag relevant businesses and have influencer deals run directly through Pinterest. So for example, if Wine a Little, Cook a Little over here with the delicious looking lemonade, if they were partnering with Ball Mason Jars, and Ball Mason Jars wanted to use this as an ad, they could pay the creator to tag Ball Mason Jars in the story pin, so that the Mason Jar Company can then go in and promote that pin on the creator's behalf. So the brand gets gorgeous videos, photos, UGC content, and the creator gets distribution through those ads. So it would be coming from the creator's account, but paid for by the actual brand. It's similar to like Facebook and Instagram brand collabs, and it's worked incredibly well for us from a brand perspective. So I'm really excited about this. And I think it's going to be really, really important for creators as well. And then with the idea pins, there are a few things that have sort of shifted and changed since they came out. For example, they used to be called story pins, and now they're idea pins. That Pinterest loves to keep us on our toes, and they're seeing that an engagement-based system for distribution is really working to help get the right content in front of the right people. So getting those click-throughs, the comments, the reactions on those idea pins is really important for distribution. So again, adding some sort of CTA in the, I think they call it notes on those rather than the description, will potentially help that distribution. Adding a link, I know it's so tempting. We want that website traffic. We think about Pinterest as a website traffic platform, but adding a link can actually hinder the distribution of the pin. It's a little counterintuitive because, Pinterest is for traffic, but again, we have to think about these idea pins as a way to reach new people and spread our message and find new audience members that are interested in what you're doing. Then once they're interested, once they're hooked, once they're following you, then you hit them with those pins that will get them to actually click through. And we also found that sharing directly from another site, like TikTok with the watermark, could hinder distribution, but there are ways around that. You can make it on TikTok and then crop it so that the watermark isn't there, or you could make it on Instagram Reel and download it before it's posted. You can still repurpose your content. I'm a big fan of repurposing content and still get the great distribution from Pinterest. You just kind of have to be careful with those watermarks. So tips for creating idea pins: you want to use videos. Videos pull people in, they're more engaging, and Pinterest is all about video right now. If you're using a video, make sure it's at least on that first panel, because that movement on the feed will really catch people's eyes, make them open it. And then once it's open, you want to make sure that there's more than one panel on the actual idea pin. So don't just have the one panel with the one idea. You want to have at least two, but preferably a few more. Telling the full story of how to do something from start to finish is really the big point of idea pins. And you don't have to give away everything. It can be something simple. It can be a very, very small piece of your business that people would be interested in. And then once they're interested in that, once they've watched that idea pin, the last panel, Pinterest puts in automatically, that's a CTA to follow you. And that's huge. You want people following you. That's going to help your distribution. That's going to help get people to your website. And idea pins are really, really powerful for growing your following. And video pins, crazy enough, there are nearly 1 billion video views per day on Pinterest. We're here on YouTube, and you would think, yeah, YouTube's where you go to watch videos, but now people are apparently going to Pinterest to watch them too. And honestly, I've done it too. I love watching like recipe pins or DIY craft pins, things like that just are so much fun to watch a creator make something. The beauty of these is that you can still click through to a website on them. So telling that 75% story and then getting people to click through to find out the rest can be so, so powerful with video pins. They don't have to be super complicated. You can use your phone to record things, and then use a tool like Adobe Spark is one of my very favorites to add those text overlays so that you have that little bit of engagement, a little bit of movement to the pin. Compared to idea pins being really great for accounts with more than 10,000 followers, video pins are, oddly enough, being especially engaging for accounts with fewer than 10,000 followers. So if you haven't hit that follower threshold yet, mix in more video pins than you would likely expect, but still have a healthy mix of video pins, idea pins, and static pins. Yeah, pinners are just loving videos, and it's kind of crazy when you look at the stats. So there's been a 20% increase in video as a keyword in searches. So that's craft video, recipe video, DIY home improvement video. That video keyword is so important, and SEO is still hugely important on Pinterest. Learning what your audience is interested in, and then potentially even adding video to your description, to your pin title, to the pin itself, could help with the distribution. There's been an 800% increase in video content being created on Pinterest. Now, I'll caveat that with it's a relatively new piece of technology that Pinterest has been offering. So 800% increase versus hardly anything it was just introduced is impressive, but in the context of it being new, it makes sense. But the almost billion video views per day is a mind-blowing number. That's nearly 1 billion opportunities to attract someone and catch their eye with these video pins. And finally, with image creates, the images, the ones that we know and love, that we have been making forever, they still work. They're still great for getting people to your website, but you need to make sure that you have a good mix of the different pin types, and then as well as making sure that the image create is what you're focused on. So the very best thing you can do is, this is a brand new piece of content. This is a brand new DIY blog post that I'm putting out. I want to create pins for it. That is the very best thing. New URL, new image, brand new information being shared to Pinterest. That's really hard to do every single day. We're not content machines. So the second best thing you can do is create new images for that existing content that you know your audience is interested in. You know it's worked well for you in the past, but just resharing that same pin from 2013 is not doing it anymore. Try creating new images. And one of the really great things that you can do is think about the different pieces of the piece of content that you are wanting to promote. For example, all 6 of these pins here are leading to the same URL, but they're targeting different keywords, they're targeting different audiences, they look very different from one another, but they're all going to the same place. If you write blog posts, one of the really clever ideas that one of my coworkers came up with was take a look at your headings in your blog posts. Could those be pins? Could you take the like H1, H2s?
I never thought of that.
Alysha's a genius. She came up with that, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so smart. Because you're telling a full story within those different headers, and you could be targeting different audiences. So that's a real nugget of genius there that was dropped by my coworker. Another thing that really had an outsized impact on Pinterest performance that we saw was claiming your website. It's if you use a tool, like a WordPress or Squarespace or Shopify, you can go through the internal tools to claim your website. It's not too difficult. It's a little bit of a headache when my husband and I did it because we were both trying to do it at the same time and canceled each other out. So don't do that, but it is relatively easy to do. And the beauty of claiming your website is what we found was that 80% of those that had the claimed website had higher than average engagement rates. And Pinterest, if someone shares a pin from your website, you didn't pin it, but they're just like, wow, I love this crochet pattern. I'm going to share it to Pinterest. Pinterest will automatically add your the follower count here so people can follow whether or not you pinned the account or pinned the pin yourself. So it's a great way to build brand awareness, get in front of new people, and you get website analytics, which is so powerful. You want to know what your audience is interested in, what's performing, how your website is getting clicked on Pinterest. And so you gain those insights after you claim your website. Another great thing to look into is diversifying your presence. Pinterest is amazing. It's a great platform to grow your brand awareness and get website traffic. But as we've been talking about, things change. In the beginning, it was don't ever use hashtags. Hashtags are bad. And then it was, okay, no, use hashtags. Hashtags are good. And now they're a little iffy on them again. So it's rented space that we're living on, no matter what the social platform. We are really beholden to those algorithms. We don't own that content. We don't own that space. So you need to diversify and be present on the platforms that make the most sense to you. I won't say be present on every single platform. That's really hard. Don't
I've tried. It's hard.
Yeah. The repurposing content only goes so far.
Well, we have a question for you, if you don't mind.
Yes, of course.
This one's from Colby. Do you have any advice for someone just starting out their brand on Pinterest?
Yes. Make sure that you are getting a list of keywords that are important to your brand. So I would recommend going to Pinterest. Think of a few different words that people would look for when they're searching for your business. Type those into the search bar and see the different types of content that come up. And then also as you scroll, it used to be at the top. I miss when it was at the top. But as you're scrolling, you'll see little like pill-sized words that have different search results. So if you type in like crochet, as you're scrolling, you may see DIY crochet patterns or crochet for dummies, or like those different things that will be really referencing what people are searching for and what the search intent is. And so taking those lists of keywords, creating your boards around those, creating pin descriptions with those important keywords is a really good place to get started. And if you're very, very new, you don't have a ton of content, I would recommend finding a few accounts or gotta promote Tailwind, joining Tailwind and using Tailwind communities to connect with other pinners that are in a similar space, and sharing their content too. So you're sort of signaling to Pinterest that this is the type of content that I'm interested in, that I'm promoting. And then once you start building up your content library and publishing your own pins on Pinterest, Pinterest will already be aware of what it is that you're promoting. And plus you'll already have the keyword development, you'll have the boards that are relevant to those key terms, and it just really gets you started on the right foot.
Okay, just one more, then we'll hop right back into it.
Awesome, yeah.
This one's from Maria. If you're just starting out on Pinterest with your business, would you just suggest starting with static pins and slowly moving to idea and video pins?
Static pins are definitely the easiest. And if you're just getting started and your content is just not on Pinterest yet, then those image creates are going to be really easy for you to make. And so having that first instance of a URL on Pinterest, you've claimed your website, Pinterest knows that that pin is owned by you. Yeah, I think static pins are a really great place to start. And then once you get some engagement built, once you start understanding what your audience looks like, then you can start making more of those more difficult to create pins, like video pins and like idea pins, and have a better chance of really hitting the nail on the head because you've already made the static image pins. You've seen what people are interested in. And so you can really narrow in on the exact content that people are going to be interested in.
Okay, here we go. Now, okay, back to you.
Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, diversify. Use Instagram to connect with your audience, grow trust with them, show them the behind the scenes. Instagram stories are amazing for that. And they have a really great selling platform now. So if you have an e-commerce store or if you're selling patterns, it's a great place to go to have that distribution of that stuff that you want to sell. Everyone wants to make money. And then finally, Facebook here, connecting with your community. I think most people nowadays use Facebook almost exclusively for groups. I know I do.
I do.
Yeah. They've really pushed those groups very hard. And now all of us are very much the Pavlov's dog with going to Facebook for the groups. And, outside of social platforms, you own your email list, you own your website. Get people on that email list. Give people a reason to give you their email and be in their inbox. That's a great place to really connect with people and make a sale because they're coming to you, they're interested, they want to hear from you. And so that's a really strong indicator that they are going to be invested in your company. So, have a pop-up that has join our email newsletter or to see this content, give us your email. However you can get people on your email list, that's so important. And advertising, it's shockingly cheap on Pinterest compared to a lot of the other social platforms, and it's really efficient. So Pinterest saw that there were 2.3 times more efficiency with cost conversions than other social platforms, and a 2 times higher return on ad spend for retail brands when comparing to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, those other social ads. There's less competition on Pinterest, and the keywords that you can target are pretty remarkable. I actually really like using the ads platform. You don't have to spend anything. You can go in there, start a campaign, and then there's this treasure trove of keywords, and you can actually see the search results, how many searches there are per month in there. So even if you don't use advertising, I would say go into the advertising platform and take a look at those keywords and what the volume is and get a nice mix of really niche keywords that will exactly target your perfect audience, plus those more broad ones that have a higher likelihood of reaching more people and getting people interested. So advertising, even if you don't use it on Pinterest, is pretty amazing. And what about Tailwind? So we've been hearing a lot of people go, I've been using Tailwind for years. My engagement's been dropping. I don't know what's happening. And really, it's less Tailwind than it is not adapting to the changing algorithms. And we work directly with Pinterest. We're a Pinterest partner. And so we have seen this information come through from our members. We really wanted to dig in to what's happening. Is Tailwind actually hurting performance? Is there anything that we can do to prevent that? What we found is that it's not. It may feel like it because you're just not getting the same results as you used to, because a lot of people are still doing, mostly static image pins, mostly image saves, not image creates. So it's a little bit of a different ecosystem out there now, and you just sort of have to change your thinking about it. But when we were looking through all of this data, we found that fresh images, whether they were posted through Tailwind or Pinterest, there was no difference of engagement. And actually, when we saw with the image saves, if it was published through Tailwind, there's a slightly higher performance for Tailwind saves, interestingly enough. This mix of original content with the image saves is a really important metric. And so again, people at the company that are much better at this stuff than I am created a way to analyze an account to see what's going on. They can really help diagnose the issue that may be happening. So if you think that something weird is going on, please shoot us an email at help@tailwindapp.com, and we can run that account analysis for you and give you really actionable feedback on what you can do to increase your Pinterest performance. And finally, we hear you. This is really hard. Things are always changing. It can feel like you're constantly shooting a moving target. It does for us too. We're right there with you. We understand it's hard, but we want to build tools that can help. We can't grow money on trees. We can't stop time. We can't do those things, but we can really help you save more time. We have our Tailwind Create now that you can use for Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook. So you can do all of your image creation directly in Tailwind. We have our scheduling, so you can really plan everything out and then be confident that it'll go live at the best times for engagement, so you can focus on the other parts of your business that are more important. We also have really in-depth analytics, so you can understand what's working for you. And it's not on here, but honestly, a world-class customer success team. We have amazing people. Most of them are actually in Oklahoma with me, and they care deeply about our members. And we'll get back to you if you have questions, if you need advice. And they're just superheroes. They do so much for our members. So if you're in Tailwind, don't feel afraid to click on the little question mark and send a message to our team. They're absolutely amazing. It says coming soon. It's actually been launched. We have some really cool new improvements to this, but it's our Tailwind Create. And so you can upload your own photos. You can even just put in your URL. We'll pull the photos in, and you can make these absolutely gorgeous pins, Instagram stories, Facebook posts, Instagram posts directly in Tailwind and schedule them to go live on your platforms. Super simple, super easy, and saves a ton of time. So much time that when we were comparing it to other drag and drop design tools that we will not name here, we found that it actually takes less than 2 minutes to make a design in Tailwind, because we have a ton of templates that you can just tweak a little bit and it's done, versus the other drag and drop tools that take nearly 15 minutes to create one pin. So you're saving a ton of time and you're getting a great piece of content.
I think in my Tailwind, I think there's a little message in my Tailwind that says you are the top 1% user of Tailwind Create.
That's amazing.
Tailwind Create so often, just sitting there creating pins, because you had to create fresh pins all the time. Yeah. To be able to click a button to upload a photo, click a button, and have an option of like 100 templates of your item done. Save me so much time. That's my whole favorite part. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just love.
Yeah, you're good. I love that
so much.
Yeah, and we were talking about it earlier. Designing pins is not what your audience is interested in learning from you. You have
No.
so much more to offer. And so the more time you can save on that, the more you can invest into other pieces of your business. And so 90% time savings is pretty remarkable. Not only does it save a ton of time, we actually found that the pins perform better. So especially when you're creating a image save, so a piece of content that's already existed on Pinterest, but you're making a new pin for it, we saw 373% more saves than just resharing that original content. So you can make a pin in 2 minutes that's going to be 373% more effective. Why not go ahead and do that? It's so simple to use and it works well. And so how else can we help? What's missing? What else do you all want to see from us? Really, we go out and do these presentations. We talk to our audience because we literally build tools that will help them. Everything that we've done, every feature that we've built has been at the recommendation of our members. So please, please, please reach out to us if you have questions, if you have ideas, anything we can do to help. That's why we're here. That's literally why I'm here. And that's it. Are there any other questions?
I have a suggestion. Know what I would love in your Tailwind Create? If you can have like one of those animated overlays.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd love to do that to make a quick video where I put sparkles on a picture that I created. And so it's always, but it's still like a static picture, but it has like a sparkly overlay. I would love that.
That is something that we are working on. I think it's supposed to be coming in end of Q3. So here in a few months, we should have that.
Okay. And I have another question. Oh, lost my earring. I've always wondered, boards. You know how there's group boards and your own personal boards.
Yep.
Where is it the most important to post? I've heard just the two of us.
Here, I'll stop screen sharing. There we go.
Okay, there we go. Should I just post to my own personal boards, or the still community boards still important?
Yeah, those were just like the ultimate hack back in the day. You join a great community board and you would get a ton of distribution. But Pinterest has said that's not the point of community boards. They're really focused on that natural pinner experience. So as Pinterest marketers, we need to think about, okay, if I was just a regular pinner and not someone trying to get site traffic from Pinterest, what would the experience be like? What would I want to see? And so for group boards, for those community boards, Pinterest has said the purpose is really just to share ideas with friends or with like-minded people rather than gaining distribution. So if you have some group boards that have really amazing content, you love the people that you're working with and you get great ideas from them, absolutely stay in them, invest in those. Otherwise, just invest in your own boards.
Thank you. That has been on my heart forever. I was like, what is the most important? So thank you.
Yeah.
Another one. I know you hear this all the time. Let's say I have a group board for crochet top videos. Mm-hmm. Should I have a crochet top video pattern board? Does it?
So the most important thing when thinking about boards and sharing pins to it is that very first image create, that first pin, make sure it's going to the most relevant board. Mm-hmm. So if you do have a really niche board like that, that's exactly right for that piece of content. Definitely put that there first. But then creating boards that are super, super similar and sharing content across them, it's not as effective as it once was. But that first board, make sure it's the most relevant one, because that's a signal that you're sending to Pinterest that, okay, this pin is about what's written in the description and what's on the website, but it's also related to the board that I'm going to and those descriptions and the other pieces of content on that board. Back in the day, I know it was really popular to have like a catch-all your content, everything from the blog, and that worked well for a while. But now it's better to, if it's a crochet pattern, put it on your crochet pattern board and not on your catch all everything from the website board, or at least make sure that's the first board it goes to.
Okay, now from somebody who's been on Pinterest for a while and made all those mistakes. So those redundant boards, do I need to consolidate them into another one or just delete them?
It's up to how much work you want to put into it. It's not going to like really help or hurt either way. So if you want to just move all of those over into one big board, that's fine. If you want to just archive it and not worry about it, that's fine too. But it's, it's not going to move the needle that much. It's, we're starting from today and going forward. You don't have to worry about too much what you did in the past.
Okay. Posting. How often should we be posting?
Be consistent, but don't put too much pressure on yourself. I always recommend start with 5 pins.
That's what I was about to say. A year ago, 2 years ago, I did 30. Now I do 5. I wasn't sure, but I guess sounds right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because that was the thing. I remember when I first started and was going through like blog content, people were recommending pinning 300 times per day.
Wow.
Which, how do you find that much content? That doesn't work anymore. That's going to get you kicked off of Pinterest. You're going to get flagged for spam. Don't do that. So start with 5 pins if that feels good to you, if you're able, and make sure it's the majority of your content. The old 80-20 rule is no longer relevant. If you have enough content, enough new images and videos and idea pins, then post 5 times per day. Don't feel too pressured to go more than that. But if you have a ton of content that you really want to get out there, you can bump it up as you see fit. So bump it up to 10, 15, maybe, but maybe I wouldn't go much higher than that.
Okay. Well, I think that's pretty much it. If anybody's interested about Tailwind, I forgot to mention all that information is down in the description box below if you're interested in looking at that. Melissa, I appreciate you so much for coming on my channel and demystifying this whole Pinterest thing.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Oh, we have one more question. Okay. Maria was quick with her typing. Let me see, bring her up. Maria, on the same wavelength as Alysha's question, what are the best days or time of day for posting?
So I'm going to plug Tailwind a little bit here. We have our smart schedule and we actually look at that for you. It's different for different accounts. And so when you sign up with Tailwind, you authenticate through Pinterest. We have a schedule that we look at when your content is performing the best. And that's when we recommend those time slots. So using a tool like Tailwind, you can just use the auto schedule feature and it'll be based on what our algorithm is saying is the best times to post for you. So definitely check that out and glean some information there.
Yeah, it's literally, I pick interval, 7 days, schedule. It's click, click. It's all done for you. You don't have to think about the time at all. It just blocks it out for you.
Super easy.
All right, now that was officially it. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Melissa. And tell everybody bye.
All right, thank you. See you later.